The first sweater hit the bottom of the trash bag at 9:14 Sunday morning. "Fold it," I said. Diane looked up from my dresser. "Excuse me? If you're going to pack my clothes, fold them." That sweater snags. Evan stood in the bedroom doorway with both hands braced against the frame, as if he were holding up the house. He had shaved only one side of his face. A stripe of foam had dried along his jaw. "Lena," he said, "don't make this uglier." His mother shook out the sweater with an injured sigh and folded it badly. I looked at my husband. "What exactly are you asking me to do?" His eyes moved toward Diane before returning to me. "I'm telling you to be out by midnight. Tonight, Sunday. Take what you need and stay somewhere else until you're ready to come back and apologize." Behind him, sunlight from the hall struck the green glass bowl where we dropped our keys every night. Mine was inside. Evan's was not. Neither was Diane's. "You're ordering me out of our home while your mother packs my clothes," I said. Evan swallowed. "Yes." The strange part wasn't that he said it. The strange part was how relieved he looked after he did. Diane pulled another sweater from the drawer. There, nice and neat. She laid it on top of the first one, sleeves balled under it. I stepped past Evan into the hall. He moved aside quickly, then seemed embarrassed that he had. The bungalow was small enough that privacy depended on manners. From our bedroom, I could see the front door, the narrow living room, and half the kitchen. 6 weeks after Diane arrived, every sightline ended in something of hers. A quilted tote hung from the coat rack. Her orthopedic sandals sat where Evan used to leave his work boots. 3 amber pill bottles lined the kitchen windowsill, glowing in the sun like tiny warning lights. She had come with 2 suitcases and a wet ceiling. That was how Evan put it the first night. "My mother has a wet ceiling." He'd walked into the sunroom while I was reconciling a dental office's payroll account. It was nearly 9, and he was still wearing the dusty navy sweatshirt he used at the shop. He kissed the top of my head, missed, and got my hair. "Is that a metaphor?" I asked. Pipe broke in the unit above hers. "How bad?" "Bad enough she can't stay there." I waited. He smiled. I told her she could use the guest room. "For how long?" "Few days, maybe a week." It had been 6. Now the guest room held unopened mail from Diane's condo association, 4 decorative pillows no human spine could survive, and a television she claimed was too heavy to move back. Her condo had been dry for 23 days. I knew because I had called the restoration company myself after Diane described a continuing moisture event that sounded suspiciously like a reason to keep my good towels. In the kitchen, the coffee machine hissed. Diane had started a second pot even though there was half a pot left. I opened the cupboard for a mug. My mugs had been moved to the top shelf. Diane's white china cups occupied the bottom. "You know," she called from the bedroom, "I offered to use boxes. You're the one who said bags." "I didn't say anything about bags." "Well, you were standing there." "That isn't how consent works, Mom," Evan said. For one hopeful second, I thought he was speaking to her. Then he added, "Just let her have the bags she wants." I looked through the doorway. "The bags she wants?" His face tightened. "You know what I mean." "I'm learning." He walked into the kitchen and lowered his voice. "Could you please stop performing?" "For whom?" He glanced toward the bedroom. Diane hummed while opening another drawer. "I don't want this," he said. There it was, his favorite sentence. "I don't want this." He used it when a vendor called about an overdue invoice, when the dentist told him he needed a crown, when I asked why his mother had given our new blender to her neighbor, because the neighbor was going through a smoothie phase. Things arrived in Evan's life as weather. He didn't cause storms. He only stood sadly in the rain. "Then stop it," I said. "I tried." "When?" "All week." "You told me to let it go all week. Because if you had let it go, we wouldn't be here." The coffee machine beeped. He reached for one of his mother's cups. I said, "My office was locked." His hand stopped. "It's a room in our house. It's my business." She was looking for the printer paper. "The printer paper is in the hall cabinet. The locked file box she opened was under my desk. She didn't open it. She left the lid open. Evan poured coffee all the way to the rim, giving himself no room for milk. She said she bumped it with the vacuum. It has 2 latches. Okay, then she shouldn't have touched it. I told her that. You told me she shouldn't have touched it. What did you tell her? His silence lasted only a moment, but it had furniture in it. Diane appeared, carrying a trash bag against her hip. I certainly hope you're not rehashing Friday. I'm not, Evan said. We are, I said. She set the bag beside the front door and smoothed her palms down the front of her lavender cardigan. Diane always dressed as if she might have to receive bad news in a bank lobby. I have apologized for entering the room, she said. I assumed I was allowed to print a return label in the home where I was staying. You used a key. The door was locked. That's generally why people use keys. Her mouth gave a small, patient twitch. It was the expression she used when waiters explained that the kitchen had closed. Evan drank his coffee too soon and burned his tongue. Can we not do this? I looked at Diane's cardigan. A thin gold chain disappeared beneath the collar. For years, the spare key had stayed in the green bowl by the door. It was meant for emergencies, though our emergencies had mostly been Evan forgetting his key in the bowl and calling me from the porch. 3 weeks into Diane's visit, the spare vanished. When I asked, Evan said he had given it to her because she'd been stuck outside while we were working. Diane had ordered a gold key holder online and wore it around her neck. I lose things in my purse, she'd explained. The key was not in the bowl now because it had become jewelry. I want the spare back, I said. Diane touched her chest. Evan closed his eyes. Lena. She doesn't live here. I have been staying here for over a month. Your condo has been habitable since June 24th. Her eyebrows rose. You called them? Yes. That was not your place. I laughed once. I couldn't help it. She stared at me. I'm sorry, I said. That sentence, from you in this kitchen. Here we go, Evan muttered. Diane's face softened, which was worse than anger. I understand why you need everything to be precise, Lena. Numbers, dates, whose shelf is whose. It makes you feel secure. Don't analyze me. I'm trying to show compassion. You entered my office with a key I asked you to return, opened a private file box, and read something that belonged to me. I did not read your client files. I felt something cold slide through my stomach. I hadn't said client files. Evan set the cup down so hard coffee jumped onto the counter. Enough. Diane turned toward him immediately. I agree. No. I kept my eyes on her. What did you read? Nothing relevant. Relevant to what? She looked at Evan. He grabbed a dish towel and pressed it over the coffee spill. Brown liquid soaked through the yellow cotton. Mom, he said quietly. What did she read? I asked. Diane's chin lifted. A few loose pages had fallen beside the box. They were inside a blue folder. I don't recall a folder. You quoted one of those pages Friday night. That is absurd. You said I keep a ledger where a heart should be. Her gaze flickered. I had written that sentence 9 months earlier after our 3rd counseling appointment, not as a judgment of myself, but as a fear. I had written that I was afraid Evan saw my need for balance as proof that I kept a ledger where a heart should be. I'd never read the pages aloud, not to our counselor, not even to Evan. At least, I had believed I hadn't. I turned to him. He folded the wet towel in half and wiped the same clean section of counter twice. You showed her, I said. No. Diane inhaled sharply. He came to me because he was hurting. Evan's eyes snapped toward her. Mom, he needed perspective. What did you show her? It was months ago, he said. After counseling. You left that notebook on the bed. The blue folder was in my locked office. I didn't take the folder. I took pictures of a couple pages. The refrigerator motor clicked on. Somewhere outside, a lawnmower coughed and caught. Diane began. He was trying to understand. I held up one finger, and to my surprise, she stopped. Evan's face had gone red around the ears. You write everything down like evidence. Every time I disappoint you, it becomes a paragraph. I wanted to know if I was crazy for feeling like I was being evaluated in my own marriage. So you sent my private writing to your mother. I sent 2 pictures. How many pictures would make it disloyal? He looked away. That was the actual eviction. Everything after it was logistics. Diane stepped closer to him, shoulder almost touching his arm. A wife is supposed to be the person you can be vulnerable with. He didn't feel safe bringing it to you. He brought it to you. I'm his mother. You keep saying that like it's a security clearance. Lena, Evan warned. I walked to the front door and lifted the trash bag Diane had packed. It was heavier than it should have been. Under my sweaters, I found 2 pairs of shoes, my hair dryer, a framed photograph from my dresser, and the ceramic jewelry dish that had belonged to my aunt. Diane had wrapped nothing. The frame was pressed glass side down against a shoe buckle. I pulled it out. The picture showed Evan and me on a ferry in Seattle, rain stippling the windows behind us. He was laughing because the wind had turned my umbrella inside out. I was laughing because he was. The photo had been taken 5 months before we married, back when his attention felt like a room with the door closed. A pale scratch crossed his face where the buckle had rubbed the glass. "You packed this?" I asked. Diane looked annoyed. "You said to take what you need." I didn't say anything. "You keep making that distinction as if it's meaningful." "It's becoming the most meaningful distinction in my life." Evan rubbed both hands over his face, smearing the forgotten shaving cream into his hairline. Despite everything, the sight was so ridiculous, I almost told him. For 9 years, I had been the person who told him when there was spinach in his teeth, sawdust in his eyebrows, a tag hanging from his shirt. He caught me looking and wiped his forehead. "What?" "Nothing." He glanced at the hall mirror and swore under his breath. Diane went into the bathroom, wet a washcloth, and handed it to him. "Hold still. I can clean my own face." Clearly. He let her scrub his temple anyway. I set the photograph on the console table beside the green glass bowl. We had bought the bowl on that Seattle trip from a woman at Pike Place who said every piece came out slightly different because the recycled glass had opinions. Evan had carried it wrapped in his sweatshirt through 2 airports. Our keys had landed in it thousands of times, mine at 6 after my last client, his at 8, 9, sometimes after 10 when a cabinet installation went wrong. The sound told me he was home before the door closed. Diane dropped the washcloth into the sink. "You have until midnight," Evan said again, but with less force. "Then I should know what I'm packing for. A week? A month? Until you can sit down with Mom and talk respectfully." And if I never meet her definition of respectfully? "See?" Diane said. "This is exactly the posture I mean. I'm asking my husband how long he's putting me out of my home." Evan gripped the back of a kitchen chair. "It's our home." "Is it?" His expression changed, not fear, offense. "Wow," he said. "So that's where you're taking this." I asked a question. "Because your name is on a piece of paper, suddenly I'm a guest?" Diane became very still. I hadn't mentioned a piece of paper. Evan pushed the chair back under the table with unnecessary care. "I have put years into this place. You replaced the back steps. I built the built-ins. For the living room we both use. I pay bills. You send me money when I tell you what your share is." Diane made a soft sound. "A marriage isn't an invoice." "No," I said. "An invoice tells you what something costs." Evan stared at me as though I had slapped him. I regretted it instantly, not because it was untrue, but because it was clean enough to cut both of us. His voice dropped. "Get out by midnight." Then he went to the bedroom, took my empty suitcase from the closet, and placed it open on the bed for his mother. Diane waited until he disappeared into the garage before she spoke again. "He doesn't know how to fight you," she said. I knelt beside the trash bag and removed the scratched photograph. "He shouldn't have to fight me." "He feels small around you." "Did he tell you that, or did you tell him?" For the first time all morning, her composure slipped. She looked tired, not fragile. Diane would have considered fragility poor grooming, but older than she had at breakfast. "He wants to be good at something," she said. He is good at something. He wants to feel like a man in his own house. There it was, not an excuse. Something more durable, a belief polished by years of use. I folded my sweater correctly and put it into the suitcase. Diane watched me. "You'll thank me for this someday," she said. "Will I?" "You two need a reset. You packed my hairdryer with my wedding picture. You're determined to make every detail ugly." I looked toward the driveway. Through the kitchen window, I could see Evan crossing the garage with his phone to his ear. Behind him stood 3 stacks of maple boards I had paid to insure, beside 2 finished cabinets awaiting delivery. On the counter near Diane's purse lay a folded sheet of paper with the logo of Mercer Home Renovation at the top. Not Evan's company, a contractor from 2 towns over. I opened it. The estimate was dated Friday. Remove sunroom shelving. Add wardrobe wall. Convert exterior office entrance to primary access. Labor scheduled Monday, 8:30 a.m. At the bottom, in Evan's handwriting, were 4 words. "Mom likes the green paint." Diane reached for the page. I moved it out of her reach. "You were turning my office into your bedroom?" Her eyes went toward the garage. "Evan said you'd be more comfortable working from the guest room." My client files, computer, printer, and 10 years of records filled the sunroom. The green walls were the first thing I had painted when I bought the house. "You planned this before he ordered me out." Diane's lips parted, then closed. Outside, Evan laughed at something the person on the phone had said. I folded the estimate along its existing crease and slipped it into my pocket. Diane watched me with fresh attention. "What are you doing?" she asked. For the first time that morning, I knew the answer. "I'm packing." I carried the suitcase into the sunroom and set it on my desk. Diane followed me as far as the doorway. "What are you taking?" "My things." "I can see that." Then we're making progress. The room was 10 feet by 12, with windows on 3 sides and shelves Evan had built along the only solid wall. Morning light turned the green paint almost yellow. My desk faced the backyard, where a squirrel was hanging upside down from the bird feeder, shaking it with the focused rage of someone who had also received bad customer service. Diane stepped inside. "Please stay out. I'm trying to understand whether you intend to remove business records that affect my son." "Your son's records are in the gray cabinet." She looked at 3 identical gray cabinets. "The one on the left." "And you're leaving those?" "I don't know yet." That answer bothered her more than refusal would have. I took my laptop from its dock, wrapped the cord, and slid both into my work bag. Then I opened the center cabinet and removed the portable drive, where I kept encrypted backups. The client files could wait until I had boxes. My immediate problem was that Evan believed he was sending me to a hotel with 2 sweaters and a hairdryer, while Diane believed she would wake up Monday to a paint consultation. My phone showed 2 missed calls from Cal, Evan's shop manager. I called him back. He answered on the first ring. "Please tell me you know why the Hauser drawer fronts are in the finishing room with no labels." "Because Evan said he'd label them Friday." "Okay, follow-up question. Why did I believe him?" Cal had worked with Evan for 3 years and regarded optimism as a character defect. "Blue tape is Hauser," I said. "Green is Dempsey. The job numbers are in the shared drive. Shared drive won't load." "Did you turn on the office computer?" A pause. "Let's pretend I didn't call." "Press the silver button under the monitor." "I'm a grown man, Lena." And yet, I heard him move, followed by the startup chime. "There it is," he said. "You're a miracle." "No, I'm a person who presses buttons. That's 90% of miracles." Diane shifted in the doorway, listening. I said, "Payroll is already scheduled for tomorrow. After that, if you need bookkeeping help, you'll have to talk to Evan." Cal went quiet. "What does that mean?" "It means talk to Evan." "Is he shutting us down?" "No. Are you two fighting?" "I'm not discussing that." "Right, sorry." He lowered his voice anyway. "Do I need to copy anything?" "No, don't touch the records. Payroll will clear." "Okay." "And Cal?" "Yeah?" "Make a list of every tool and every piece of material currently stored in our garage. Don't remove anything, just send me the list." Diane's head came up. Cal said, "Why?" Insurance. That wasn't a lie. It just wasn't the whole truth. I can do that this afternoon. Thank you. When I hung up, Diane said, "You're involving his employees." I told his manager he'll be paid. You made it sound as if the business is in danger. If hearing that I won't be doing the books makes the business sound endangered, we should sit with that. Evan will hire someone. He should. He can afford it. I hope so. She studied my face. This is punishment. No, punishment is supposed to teach someone a lesson. I'm done teaching. Evan came through the back door, bringing the smell of sawdust and hot pavement with him. Teaching what? Apparently nothing, Diane said. He glanced at my work bag, the disconnected laptop dock, and the open cabinet. Why are you dismantling your office? I'm packing. Your clothes, Lena. I told you to take what you need for a few days. You told me to remove everything belonging to me. I did not. Diane said, you told her to take what she needs. Thank you, Mom. I need my computer to work. Take your laptop. That is my laptop. The big one. My desktop? Whatever it's called. That's where I run month-end reconciliations. So leave it. Why would I leave it in the room you're demolishing tomorrow? He looked at his mother. Diane's hand touched the keychain under her cardigan. You found the estimate, he said. It was on the kitchen counter. We were going to talk to you. Before or after the contractor removed my shelves. The shelves can be put somewhere else. Where? He opened his mouth. I waited. The guest room, he said finally. Diane turned. There's no wall space in the guest room. Evan gave her a look. What? She said. There isn't. Then maybe my files can sleep in the bathtub. That tone, Diane murmured. He stepped into the office and reached for the estimate sticking out of my pocket. I moved back. Don't. I paid for that estimate. It describes work on my office. Our office. When was the last time you worked in here? I built the shelves. You keep saying that like the shelves pay property taxes. His jaw shifted. There it is again. What? The money. You brought up what you paid. That's different. Why? Because I'm not using it to make you feel like you don't belong. The answer landed harder than he intended. I saw it in the way his shoulders changed. He had finally said the true thing, only he had put it in my mouth. I lowered my voice. I have never told you that you don't belong here. You don't have to. It's in how you talk, your mortgage, your office, your client files, your green walls. You ordered me out. For a week. You don't get to use my home as a timeout chair. I'm trying to save our marriage by giving my office to your mother. That was separate. Diane sat in my desk chair. I told him the sunroom wasn't necessary. We both looked at her. She smoothed her skirt. I said I could manage in the guest room. Evan insisted I would be more comfortable down here because of the bathroom. The bathroom is across the house, I said. It's on the same floor. So is every room. It's a bungalow. Diane's mouth flattened. Evan pointed toward the hallway. Mom, can you give us a minute? She stood, but not before adjusting my desk chair so it faced the room instead of the window. I'll finish the dresser, she said. No, I said. You won't. She looked at Evan. He rubbed his forehead. Just give us a minute, Mom. After she left, he closed the sunroom door. It had a glass panel so I could see her shadow pause on the other side before moving away. Evan leaned against my desk. I messed up by showing her those pages. Yes, I'm admitting it. That isn't the same as apologizing. I'm trying to get there. Take your time. This is what I mean. Every conversation with you becomes a test I didn't study for. I asked you not to show private writing to your mother. Was that advanced material? He looked at the ceiling. I sat on the edge of the windowsill. The squirrel had conquered the feeder and was eating with both hands. Why did you do it? I asked. I told you, I needed perspective. From her? She knows me. She knows the version of you who is always being denied something. His eyes sharpened. You think I complain about you? I think your mother arrived believing I was cold, controlling, and selfish. Either she invented it or you've been giving her materials. She sees things. She sees what you invite her to see. He crossed his arms. She saw you humiliate me at Christmas. I asked you not to promise your cousin a dining table for free, in front of everyone. You announced it in front of everyone. He'd just lost his job, and you were already 3 commissions behind. It would have cost me materials. It would have cost us materials because my card was covering your supplier account. You got paid back. 4 months later, there, ledger. I watched him breathe. Fast and shallow, though the room was cool. He wasn't pretending. In his mind, each fact I remembered became a weapon simply because he preferred forgetting it. Diane didn't create that. She gave it a kinder name. "What do you want me to apologize for?" I asked. He uncrossed his arms. "To Mom? To both of you." "What are the words?" "You made her feel like a burden. She is a burden." "Jesus, Lena. You asked. You could say you're sorry she felt unwelcome. She was welcome for a week. Her building has problems. Her unit is dry. She has nowhere else she feels safe. She owns a condo. She has debt on the condo, okay? More than she told us." I looked toward the glass door. Diane's shadow was gone. "How much?" "I don't know exactly." "You know approximately." 40. 40,000? He stared at me. $40,000? Between the assessment, credit cards, and some medical stuff. "What medical stuff?" "Dental, I think." "You think she has $40,000 of dental work?" "Not all of it is dental." I put my work bag on the desk and zipped it. "What does that have to do with my office? She may need to sell. Then she can sell. She won't get enough if they put a lien on it. And she needs time to sort things out. With my bookkeeping." His eyes slid away. A laugh rose in my throat, but nothing about it was funny. "You promised her I would fix this. I said you could look at it. You volunteered my labor after she read my private papers. I was trying to create a bridge. You keep building bridges out of pieces of me." He flinched. For a moment, I wanted to take it back. That instinct was so familiar it almost felt like love. Then he said, "She's family. So am I. You're acting like I have to choose. You already did." He stood very still, then opened the door. "Midnight," he said. Diane was waiting in the hallway with another trash bag. I spent the next hour packing client files into banker boxes while they argued in the kitchen in voices meant to sound private. Diane wanted Evan to take my office key. Evan said that would be too aggressive. She said I was destabilizing his employees. He said I was upset and would calm down. I photographed every shelf before removing anything. In the bottom drawer of the gray cabinet, beneath warranty folders and old supplier catalogs, I found a yellow envelope in Evan's handwriting. "Martin. Security," it said. Inside was a draft agreement between Evan and his uncle Martin. Martin would lend Diane $30,000. Until repayment, the agreement listed shop equipment and stored hardwood inventory at residential property as security. The machines in our garage had been purchased on my business credit line and leased to Evan's shop for $1 a year, so he could qualify for insurance when he started. Half the hardwood belonged to clients whose deposits had paid for it. Evan could no more pledge it than he could pledge the squirrel. I heard his footsteps behind me. "What's that?" he asked. I held up the pages. His face gave me the answer before his mouth tried. "It's only a draft. You offered my equipment to secure your mother's loan? It's the shop's equipment." "No, it isn't. I use it every day. That isn't ownership." He snatched for the envelope. I moved it behind my back. "Stop treating me like a criminal," he said. "I'm treating you like a man who signs things he hasn't read." "I haven't signed anything." "Has Martin?" Silence. From the kitchen, Diane called, "Evan?" I pulled out my phone and photographed each page. His anger disappeared so suddenly it frightened me more than the anger had. "Delete those," he said. "No." "Lena, this has nothing to do with us. Everything you've done today has something to do with us." I put the agreement into the same pocket as the renovation estimate. picked up my keys from the green bowl and walked out to my car. My attorney answered on the fourth ring with music and restaurant noise behind her. "Please tell me nobody died," Maya said. "Not yet." "That is not the soothing answer you think it is. I need to know whether I can change the locks on my own house." The restaurant noise vanished as a door closed behind her. "Start at the beginning," she said. I looked through the windshield at the bungalow, at Diane watching me from behind the front curtain, and Evan standing just beyond her. I'm not sure where that is anymore. "Then start with today." I did. Maya listened without interrupting until I reached the ultimatum. Then she said, "The deed being in your name helps. It does not make him a stranger. He lives there. You cannot throw his property onto the curb and lock him out because he behaved like an ass." "What if he throws me out?" "He can't legally do that either." "So we both live there until one of us dies?" "There are options between cohabitation and murder." "I'm listening." "If he clearly moves out and surrenders possession, document it. Text, email, keys, removal of belongings, clear language. Until then, do not create a problem I have to explain to a judge." Through the curtain, Diane's gold keychain flashed in the light. "What counts as clear language?" Maya paused. "Lena, what are you thinking?" "I'm thinking I have until midnight." "You have longer than that." He invented midnight. "I know." I watched Evan take the curtain from his mother's hand and let it fall closed. But I don't think he does. Maya made me promise not to do anything for 20 minutes. "Not one dramatic lock," she said. "I don't own any dramatic locks. You know what I mean." "I do." "Put the documents somewhere safe. Save screenshots of every message. Ask him in writing what he wants removed and whether he is leaving the property. Do not coach his answer." "What if he won't answer?" "Then we proceed like adults through the boring legal process designed to keep angry people from becoming creative." "I hate when you're sensible." "That's why you pay me." "I did your books last year. We barter." "Then that's why you categorize my receipts." She went back into the restaurant. I stayed in the car until the promised 20 minutes had passed, emailing the photographs to myself and to Maya. Then I sent Evan a text. "I want to confirm your instructions. You want me to remove everything belonging to me by midnight tonight and stay away from the house. Is that correct?" The front curtain moved. 3 dots appeared on my screen, vanished, then returned. "Stop making this legal," I replied. "Tell me what you want." He didn't answer. When I walked inside, the green bowl was empty. The scratch photograph was still on the console, but my keys, which I had carried to the car, were in my hand. Evan's weren't there. The spare was still around Diane's neck. The bowl looked smaller without metal in it. Evan stood at the kitchen table with the yellow envelope open before him. Diane sat opposite him, pressing a white china cup between both palms. "You photographed a private financial conversation," she said. "I photographed an agreement involving my property. It's a family loan. Then use family property." Evan pushed the papers toward me. "Martin hasn't transferred anything. Did he sign it?" "He initialed the draft. That's signing. It isn't final." Diane said, "The technicalities aren't important. Technicalities are doing a lot of work for this family." She set the cup down. "I can replace the equipment in the agreement." "With what?" Her eyes hardened. Evan said, "We'll fix it." "How?" "I'll talk to Martin." "Today?" "Yes. Put that in writing, too." He slapped his palm against the table. The cup jumped in its saucer. "I am not conducting my marriage by text message. You conducted it through your mother." Diane leaned back as if I had thrown something. Evan's voice went flat. "You know, maybe leaving will be good for you." "For me?" "You're not hearing yourself." "I'm hearing myself clearly for the first time in years." "That's very polished. Did Maya give you that?" "No. Maya mostly gave me nouns like possession and surrender." Diane's fingers rose to the key chain. The room changed. It was slight, but I saw Evan understand that I had not called Maya for comfort. I saw Diane understand it half a second later. "What did you tell her?" he asked. "The truth." Your version. The deed has one version. His chair scraped back. There it is. You've been waiting to use that. If I had been waiting, I wouldn't have spent 6 weeks asking your mother to go home. It is my home, too. I know. That's why I'm asking you to confirm whether you're giving it up. I'm not giving up anything. Then you're not ordering me out. His face reddened. Diane stood. This is manipulation. No, this is the part after manipulation, when details show up. She turned to Evan. Don't agree to anything. She wants you to say the wrong words. I want him to say what he means. He means you need space. Then he can leave. I'm not leaving, he said. Fine. I walked into the sunroom. They followed me. I lifted the desktop computer from beneath the desk and set it on the rug. Evan moved into the doorway. What are you doing? Taking my computer. The shop files are on that. The shop files are on your office computer and in the shared drive. You told Cal the drive wasn't working. Cal hadn't turned the computer on. Even Diane looked briefly amused. Evan did not. You can't take the accounting system, he said. I own the software license. I'll export your company file and send it to you. I have payroll. Payroll is scheduled. Quarterlies. Due next month. Vendor payments. 2 are due Tuesday. I'll give you a list. He watched me unplug the monitor, so you're just done. You fired me from the marriage this morning. I assumed the unpaid second job went with it. I didn't fire you. What would you call it? A boundary. The word came out with Diane's accent. I looked at her. Did you teach him that one before or after you packed my underwear? Her amusement disappeared. Evan blocked the door when I tried to carry the monitor out. Move. We need to talk. We are talking. Without you making a performance out of every minute. I'm carrying a monitor. You're trying to scare me. That stopped me. He sounded younger than I had heard him in years. Not childish. Stripped down. I set the monitor on the desk. What are you scared of? I asked. His eyes went toward the kitchen. Diane stayed where she was. That you've already decided, he said. You ordered me out. Because I didn't know what else to do. You could have asked your mother to return to her condo. She can't handle it right now. So I have to handle everything. No. Your books, her debt, your house, her feelings, your promises. Which one is not mine to handle? He looked at me, desperate for an answer he could believe. I was going to make it up to you, he said. When? After things settled down. They settled down because I settle them. Diane stepped between us, not physically, but with her voice. He has been under extraordinary pressure. He put himself there. He loves you. I know. That surprised both of them. I did know. Evan loved me in all the ways that didn't require him to disappoint Diane. He made coffee when I worked late. He warmed my side of the bed with his feet. He could tell from the way I set down my purse whether a client had cried in my office. He also handed my private words to his mother and let her decide what they meant. Love wasn't the unanswered question anymore. I lifted the monitor again. Please move. He did. That was the first thing he gave me all day. Cal arrived at 2 carrying a clipboard and a gas station sandwich. He stopped inside the garage and looked from me to Evan. I brought the inventory. Evan took the pages from him. Why did you give this to her? She asked. I own the business. Cal looked at me. Am I stepping into something? You're standing in it, I said. Diane came from the kitchen with a plate. Have you eaten? I made chicken salad. Cal raised his sandwich. I'm emotionally committed to ham. She blinked. I almost smiled. The list separated client materials, completed work, shop-owned hand tools, and the larger equipment covered by my lease. Cal had included serial numbers and photographs. Evan flipped through it. You took pictures. For insurance. Whose side are you on? Cal's expression closed. The side where I still have a job Tuesday. You have a job. Good. Then tell me where I'm finishing the Hauser cabinets, because if this equipment leaves, I can't do it at the shop. The wide belt sander is here. Evan looked toward the machine as if it had betrayed him. "I'm not moving anything today," I said. "I'm documenting what's here." Diane said, "Then why is there a rental truck outside?" A white box truck had pulled up along the curb. Evan spun toward me. I recognized the company name, but not the driver. "Those are my office movers." "You hired movers?" "I have client confidentiality rules. I can't throw files into the back of my car. You said you were going to a hotel. You said I was leaving." The movers packed the gray cabinets, desk equipment, and banker boxes, while Evan paced between the garage and kitchen. Diane stood guard over the contractor estimate until she realized it was already in my pocket. Cal ate his sandwich on the back steps and answered the movers' questions about which printer was mine. When the last file box went out, the sunroom echoed. The shelves remained. Evan ran his hand along one, thumb catching on a place where he had sanded the edge smooth years earlier. "I built these for you," he said. "I know. You loved them. I still do. Then how can you walk out like this?" I looked at the empty green room. "I'm walking out because you told me to." He shook his head. "You always do that. You take the exact words and ignore what someone means." "What do you mean, Evan?" He couldn't say. "Not really. Not permanently. Not if it costs me anything." Diane came in carrying her purse. She set it on the console beside the green bowl while she put on her sandals. "I need air," she announced. The gold keychain hung from the open purse. I looked at Evan. "You should go with her." He glanced at his mother. "She shouldn't drive upset," I said. "Spend the evening at her condo. Let me finish without another fight." Diane's eyes narrowed. "You expect us to leave you here alone?" "I expect you to trust the person whose house you've been living in." She began to refuse, but Evan said, "Fine. Evan, let her pack. That's what she wants." I took the spare key from the gold chain and placed the empty chain back in her purse. Diane saw me. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then she zipped the purse. "I hope this makes you happy," she said. "It doesn't." That answer seemed to unsettle her. They left at 5. Evan took a duffel bag, his laptop, 3 work shirts, his shaving kit, and the leather folder containing his business papers. At the door, he put his key in his pocket rather than the bowl. I texted him again. "Confirm that I am to remove everything of mine and be gone by midnight, and that you are leaving tonight so I can do so." His reply came from the driveway. "Yes, take all of it. Leave your keys. Stay away until you can treat my family with respect. Mom and I will return tomorrow and take control of the house." I forwarded it to Maya. Then I called Cal. He answered with his mouth full. "If this is about the Hauser cabinets, they're labeled. I need a storage unit and a licensed commercial mover." He swallowed. "For what?" "Everything in my garage that belongs to Evan's business." The crew came at 7. Client materials and finished cabinets went into a climate-controlled unit rented under Evan's company name, with the first month paid from the shop account he had authorized me to manage. My equipment went to a separate insured unit under mine. Cal supervised the loading and left the access information for Evan on the empty workbench. By 11, the bungalow sounded different. No office equipment humming, no compressor settling in the garage, no Diane opening cupboards to see if I had moved something back. I packed the scratched ferry photograph last. At 11:46, I placed Evan's text, the contractor estimate, and a copy of Martin's draft agreement in an envelope for Maya. I set the spare key on top. At 11:47, exactly as demanded, I carried the green glass bowl to my car and left. The green bowl looked wrong on the motel dresser. It had always held keys. Under the blue television light, it held 2 wrapped peppermints and the plastic strip from a bottle of water. I slept for 40 minutes at a time, waking whenever the air conditioner knocked inside the wall. At 6:12, Maya called. "I have read everything twice," she said. And his language is contradictory. He ordered the owner to surrender possession, while stating that he had left the property and would return later to take control. That is not the beautiful written surrender I requested. He's never been beautiful in writing. This is serious. I know. If you change the locks, he can challenge it. He can claim he never meant to move out. He took clothes and business records. He left other personal belongings. I'll arrange access for those. He can still make trouble. I sat on the edge of the bed looking at the green bowl. Can he force his way in? He can call the police. They'll likely treat it as a civil dispute once they see the deed and messages. But I cannot promise how an individual officer will respond. I can post formal notice that his permission to enter has been revoked and offer a scheduled time to collect his remaining property. Can he break a window? Anyone can break a window. That doesn't make it lawful. I pressed my bare feet into the motel carpet. The old version of me would have waited. She would have asked Evan to clarify again, then softened the question when he got angry. She would have returned to the house before him, put his key back in the green bowl, and called it patience. "What would you do?" I asked. I would never answer that for a client. "What would you do if you were my friend?" Maya was quiet, then she said, "I'd change them." The locksmith arrived at 7:30 in a van with a cartoon key wearing sunglasses painted on the side. His name was Ron, and he had the cheerfulness of a man who had seen much stranger mornings. "Front, back, garage entry?" he asked. "All three." "Same key?" "One key. That's the dream." Maya pulled up behind him while he worked. She wore yesterday's blouse under a wrinkled blazer and carried a paper cup large enough to bathe in. She taped a notice inside the front window where it could be read without being removed, then photographed it beside the street number. "Your hands are shaking," she said. "It's cold." "It's 71 degrees. I'm experiencing personal weather." She handed me the coffee. At 8:18, Ron placed 2 new keys in my palm. At 8:27, a silver SUV stopped behind the locksmith's van. Diane got out first. She had changed into a navy pantsuit. Evan wore one of the work shirts he had packed, though it was buttoned wrong at the bottom. For a moment, they stood together on the sidewalk staring at Maya's car, the van, and the contractor's pickup already parked across the street. The contractor climbed down from his truck holding a cardboard tray of coffees. "Morning," he called. "We still doing the sunroom?" No one answered. Evan walked quickly toward the porch. Diane stayed one step behind him, close enough that when he stopped, she nearly hit his back. He put his key in the front lock. It wouldn't turn. He pulled it out, looked at it, and tried again. The locksmith stopped loading his tools. Evan jiggled the key hard enough to shake the brass plate. Then he leaned his shoulder against the door, as if the house might recognize him by weight. His key opened nothing. He looked through the front window and saw me standing beside the green wall of the empty sunroom. "Lena." The glass softened his voice. He knocked once, then harder. Diane read the notice. "What is this?" she demanded. Maya opened the door but kept 1 foot behind it. "This is notice that permission to enter has been revoked, mister. Mercer can arrange a time to collect his remaining personal property." Evan stared at me over her shoulder. "You locked me out? You left. For 1 night. You told me to remove everything I owned, leave my keys, and stay away while you took control of my house. You knew what I meant." "Yes," I said. "That's why I changed the locks." The contractor approached with the coffees. "Should I come back?" Diane turned on him. "We're having a family discussion." He backed toward his truck. Evan took out his phone. "I'm calling the police." Maya said, "You may. Show them the notice, the deed, and your messages. I have copies." His thumb hovered over the screen. "Do it," Diane said. He looked at her, then at the locksmith, then through the doorway at the vacant sunroom. "What happened to my equipment?" "Your company property is in climate-controlled storage. Cal has the address and access code. My equipment is in a separate unit." "You took my shop apart?" "I removed my machines from my garage. You can't just shut me down." "I didn't. Payroll cleared this morning. Your files were exported, your materials are safe. You can rent or purchase the equipment you need." "With what money?" The question escaped him before he could stop it. Diane's face changed. Maya looked away to give him the privacy of pretending she had not heard. Evan shoved his phone into his pocket. "I live here." "You chose to leave so your mother could pack me out without you having to watch." That is not what happened. You watched for hours. I was trying to keep things calm. Was I calm enough? He flinched. Diane stepped onto the porch. You have made your point. Give him the new key. There is no new key for him. Then where are we supposed to go? The question came out raw, stripped of posture and polished vowels. Her car was packed to the windows. Through the rear glass, I could see the white television from the guest room wedged between her suitcases and decorative pillows. Your condo, I said. I can't afford the assessment. Then sell it. It won't cover everything. Then you and Evan should discuss what help he can provide. He promised we would handle it together. Evan closed his eyes. There it was, the plural that had hidden me inside it. Diane turned toward him. You said this house was yours. It is my home. She owns it. That never mattered before. It mattered enough for you to lie about it. I didn't lie. You said there was nothing she could do. I didn't know she'd do this. Diane stared at him. I watched the alliance between them change shape. Not break, exactly, but lose the useful illusion that it was built on his strength. He had offered her my rooms because offering his own resources would have required admitting how few he controlled. The contractor set the coffee tray on the hood of his truck and drove away. Ron gave me a small nod, got into his van, and followed. Evan watched them go. You wanted this to be humiliating. No, I wanted you to listen before it got here. You could have told me your plan. You told your mother my private thoughts. You lost the privilege of hearing the next ones. That reached him. His shoulders dropped, and for the first time since Sunday morning, he looked at me instead of the position I occupied. Can I come inside? He asked. No, just me. No. His mouth trembled once. He pressed it flat. Maya gave him her card and explained how to arrange pickup. He took it without speaking. Diane refused hers. They walked back to the SUV separately. Evan got into the passenger seat. Diane stood beside the driver's door looking at the house until a car behind her honked. Then she climbed in and pulled away. I closed the door. The new lock turned with almost no sound. Evan collected his belongings 3 days later. Maya stayed in the kitchen while he moved between the bedroom and garage with Cal. Diane remained in the SUV, windows up despite the heat. He had packed less than I expected. Clothes, his father's old level, 2 boxes of books, a camping stove we had used once, and the framed fairy picture with the scratch across his face. That's mine, I said. He looked down at it. I thought we bought the frame together. The picture. He handed it to me. Cal came in carrying a crate of clamps. Truck's full. Evan nodded. Cal lingered. I need to talk to you about the shop. Later. I've been trying for 2 days. I said later. Cal set the crate down. I can't finish 3 jobs without the machines. The rental place wants a deposit, and Sam put the supplier account on hold because the Tuesday payment didn't go through. Evan looked at me. I said, the payment list was in the export email. There were 14 attachments. One was called Payments Due Tuesday. You could have reminded me. I did, Sunday. Cal rubbed his jaw. I'm going back to the shop. At the door, he turned to me. Thanks for making sure payroll cleared. Evan heard the difference between that sentence and taking sides. After Cal left, he sat on the bottom stair to the attic and stared at his hands. Mom says you planned this before Sunday. I planned to protect myself before Sunday. What's the difference? I was still hoping I wouldn't need to. He gave a small, tired laugh. You always have the right answer. If I did, I wouldn't have spent 9 years making excuses for both of us. He looked toward the kitchen where Maya was pretending to read email. I'm staying at Mom's. I assumed. Her place is a mess. Half the living room is boxes. She cries every night. I'm sorry she's hurting. She thinks you ruined her life. I'm not responsible for the life she financed. She says you turned me against her. Have I? He considered it. No, he said. You turned her against me. I sat on the stair above him. I didn't do that either. She keeps asking why I didn't know whose name was on the deed. I did know. I just never thought. He rubbed his palms over his jeans. I thought being your husband meant the details didn't matter. It meant they mattered to me for both of us. He looked back at the empty sunroom. I can fix the shop. I hope you do. I can hire another bookkeeper. You should. And lease equipment. Yes. Each answer seemed to disappoint him. He wanted resistance, because resistance would mean I was still attached to the outcome. What am I supposed to fix with us? He asked. I don't know. That's the first time you've said that. It's the first time I've believed it. The business survived, though not in the shape Evan had imagined. He sold his truck to lease replacement equipment and lost the Hauser job after missing the installation twice. Cal stayed through the end of summer, then accepted a position with a larger cabinet company. Evan hired a bookkeeper who charged him more each month than he had once contributed toward our mortgage. Diane sold her condo. After the assessment, fees, and credit card balances, she had enough left for a deposit on a small apartment near Evan's shop. She blamed him for overstating what he could offer. He blamed her for pushing him to make promises. They continued having dinner every Thursday. Maya filed the separation papers. There were arguments over furniture, the value of improvements, and the leased equipment. Nothing resolved in one brilliant conversation. Evan's attorney challenged the lockout and then let the issue go when faced with his messages, the prompt access to his belongings, and the fact that he had secured other housing. I paid Evan an agreed amount for the built-ins and back steps. He signed the receipt without looking at me. He asked to meet once after everything was settled. We sat in a coffee shop halfway between his apartment and my temporary office. He looked healthier, sadder too, in a way that belonged to him instead of asking me to repair it. I know why I did it, he said. I waited, ordering you out. I knew Mom was wrong. I knew it while she was packing. But if I stopped her, I would have to admit I'd let it go too far. And then she would be angry, and you would still know I'd failed you. So you made me the problem. I thought you'd leave for a night. Then you'd come back because you always came back. He turned his coffee cup between his hands. I loved you, he said. I loved you too. Is that all? It isn't small. He nodded once. I sold the bungalow the following spring. The couple who bought it loved the sunroom and asked whether the green paint had a name. I told them I'd forgotten. My new office occupied the second floor of an old bank building. It had tall windows, uneven floors, and a door that locked cleanly on the first try. On my first morning there, I set the green glass bowl on a table inside the entrance. Sunlight passed through it and scattered green across the empty wall. I dropped my key into it. The sound was smaller than I remembered. It was enough.